everyone. I know I was gone last week. Well, I didn't post anything last week. I was actually at MD Anderson in Houston, Texas for my checkup. I get a CT scan every 3 months still. And that's what I was there for. And then we spent a little extra time there because my parents met us out there. So that was nice. I am still in remission, a year and 9 months. February is my next one. That will be my 2-year mark in remission. Knock on wood. And then I will graduate every 6 months. Told my surgeon, sorry, that I wasn't sure if I was quite ready for that step yet, but he said that we will go at my pace. So I'm thinking about maybe 4 months for the next year and then move on. Check my paper. Today, I'm going to touch on your new routine, types of relationships, like with friends or romantic or parents. And then also if you have young kids, excuse me, and then what it is for work and play or like your social time, I guess. Because this is probably like, I think the biggest part that is changed is this section that I'm going to talk, like basically during treatment, what it's like your new normal, because now for, it could be 6 months. For me, it was a year that you're in some sort of treatment. And so that is your normal temporarily, that you just kind of have to learn to deal with. And so, like I said in the last video, I don't know why my ear is just so bad. What is happening? Sorry. So like I said, everyone is a little bit different. You have people that go Monday through Friday for chemo in the infusion room for a certain amount of time. You have people that go once a week, every week. You have people that go once a month, twice a month, whatever it is. Mine was, and I know I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. Mine was every other week for, I guess technically it came out to like 46 hours with the pump. But, so typically Tuesday, go in infusion for about anywhere from 6 to 10 hours, I would say, depending. I'd be in there. And then at the end of my infusion in there, I would get a pump attached to me. And I know I told this, but get the pump attached to me, I'd go home. So on Tuesday infusion, Wednesday all day I'd be home, and then Thursday we'd get up and drive back for me to get disconnected and get it back IV fluids. So I got treatment an hour and a half away, about 2 hours from where we lived. So I chose to drive, my husband drove, I was out of it, from Portales, New Mexico to Lubbock, Texas, for my treatments, because it was at a university hospital. There was not a lot of great medical care in my area. And if you guys live there and are watching this video, I am sorry. I love that town. I miss it. Don't want to get treated for anything medical there. So anyway, so we got in this routine, and at the time we also had a newborn baby that was also traveling with us, and she was in infusion with me. And I've had people say, why would you put your daughter near that? Why would you bring her near that? Well, she was in my uterus when I was getting chemo. So I'm pretty sure her being in the same room as me is not near as harmful as when she was inside of me getting chemo with me. It's a decision I made with my medical team. I regret nothing. My baby girl is completely healthy, happy. She's comfortable in hospital. She's comfortable in infusions. She loves seeing everyone in there when we go by. It brings smiles on people's faces. I regret nothing about what I did. So anyways, off my little soapbox. So we got in this routine, obviously, is, the week I had chemo was miserable. And then the week after that, my off week was still miserable, just less miserable because I was finally getting back into it. And then it's not just a routine of going to treatment and getting back from treatment. It's the effects that you have to deal with too. So a lot of people now with the chemo, the side effects are less severe as far as like the nausea goes. Not all chemo treatments make you lose your hair. I didn't lose my hair. It thinned. I lost like a patch here. And then so you can see kind of like I have different like sized or different lengths of hair. This is also cut to blend it more, but I had lost chunks of hair in weird places. So anyways, with the lesser effects of the chemo, but you still get them, I had it really bad nausea and fatigue, weakness. You also get annoying stuff like dizziness and headaches that seem so minimal compared to everything else that you're experiencing. Your vision changes, your tongue peels. Yeah, that's weird. You don't want any, it's just weird. I had neuropathy, so like numbness of my limbs, whatever, fingers, toes, my knees would go numb, weird stuff. But it's the nausea that really like knocked me down basically. So I would get chemo, I'd be sick to my stomach for, oh my gosh, about a week, like very bad, like badly sick. And then after that, I would constantly feel sick, like that feeling you get when you're about to throw up, but you don't quite throw up yet, like it's about to happen. Yeah, try feeling like that 24/7 for about 2 weeks. And that was my life for about a year, because by the time it started getting better, it was time to get chemo again. So you kind of have to learn to live with that as well. So that's part of your new routine. When can you eat? What do you have to listen to like in your body to say, okay, now I need to eat? And you don't ever skip a time when you have an appetite, like you drop anything and eat, because you don't know when that passes, when you'll want to eat again, and you need those calories to heal yourself during treatment. And I know people say that, and it's just sometimes easier to hear from someone else that's gone through it and not just a medical team, because they're around it and they have training in it, but they've never lived it, so to speak. Most of them haven't. I can't speak for everybody, obviously. So another piece of advice I would say is eat anything that you crave, because a lot of the times, not every time, when you're craving something, it's what your body's lacking. And during chemo, you're lacking a lot of stuff because you just don't have an appetite. And so I'd recommend getting flavorless protein powder. You can put that in your drink. You don't taste it. Sprinkle it on food. Whatever it is, get the extra protein to help your body recover. And fluids. I cannot tell you enough. Have someone remind you to drink fluids. I had a guy in Las Cruces, New Mexico, about 4 hours south of me. His mom had cancer. Yeah, she's in remission. She's doing well. But he went to school with my brother. Him and I had never met in person, but he knew about my story through my brother. Weird story, but we still text today. But during treatment, he would text me every hour or so and say, drink, 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 because he wanted me to stay hydrated. So it was nice to have that reminder. So I would encourage to have that. So yeah, nutrition is important during treatment, but eat what you can. Don't force yourself to stick to the strict diet. Just, your body's not going to want it. You're going to probably reject it, so to speak. Eat what you can, small, even if it's just a cracker. I don't care. Anything, any sustenance in your body, just do it. I ate boxes of dry cereal. It works. Whatever works. So you get in this routine, you go in an infusion room, it has a smell, and it's not a bad smell until it is a smell that you associate with chemo. And it sticks with you for about forever, it seems. PTSD is a good way to put it. It's a thing. It's not just for military people. You don't get it just from being in a war zone. You get it from any traumatic event. And getting cancer is traumatic. So don't let someone tell you that you don't have PTSD because you're not active duty, and don't let someone tell you you're overreacting because it's just treatment, because PTSD is a thing. You can have nightmares, you can have racing thoughts, you could have flashbacks, you can have reactions to certain scents that remind you of how you felt, what you went through, what you saw. It's real, and there is nothing wrong with getting help for it. So please, if you have the resources and the means, get that additional help. Because you're stuck in this routine and it gets to you, you're like, this is my new life right now, and you can have like these reality checks, and it's good to have someone to lean on and kind of word vomit too. So along with all of that and your new routine and your new normal and whatnot, you have relationships outside of your cancer family, because you do develop a cancer family. You do have great supports from people in your similar situations, um, and they become your biggest support, it seems. But outside of that, you still have, your friends prior to diagnosis, your family members, and all of that. Now, I'm not sure how often people hear this, but I know I heard it when I was diagnosed, and it could not be more true. You learn who your true friends are. And I have best friends that were made enemies. Now, I say enemies because we're not fighting, we just don't talk, we're just not friends. My diagnosis was inconvenient. They couldn't handle it. Well, that's good that you had a choice. I don't. So here I am. Um, but whatever, they're not worth my time then. And then I have people that I never talked to, that I didn't get along with in high school, that I couldn't stand, that came out of the woodworks and have been one of my biggest supporters. And I have strangers that are now closer to me than, these people I called my friends prior to this. And I'm okay with that. At first, I was like a little annoyed, but then not everyone handles something the way you envision it being handled. And that's okay. Just don't dwell on it. It's okay to be upset about it, but don't force it, because that's not the type of people that you need. You need someone or people that will be there to be supportive and there to talk to you, and just there. Even if it's just to bring over a box of cereal or make a meal for your family and not for you, because you probably don't want to eat. And then romantic relationships. So my situation, I was just dating James for about 3 months when he deployed. We found out I was pregnant, and then the cancer diagnosis. So we were dating between 3 and 5 months when all that happened. And then we did not progress in our relationship. Like, our relationship was raising the child and raising our child and cancer. And so we had none of that honeymoon phases, that dating phase, none of that. And then some time goes by and we decided to get married, and then later on we had a wedding. So it doesn't happen typically like that for a lot of people. That really tested our relationship together and us individually, I would say. And he never even thought about leaving. And so I knew that, for better or for worse, sickness and health, he was already living those vows before we even made them. So, but a lot of people, unfortunately, the opposite happens. They've been married for 15 years, 20 years, 5 years, whatever it is, and they end up getting divorced because of the stress that this puts on the relationship. And I cannot express enough the benefit of getting some type of, even if it's not therapy for your cancer diagnosis, some type of couples therapy, individual therapy, so you guys have an outlet, so you guys aren't each other's verbal punching bag. Just a third party to kind of mediate and help any type of discussion, issues, feelings, emotions, whatever. Because it changes, and even if it doesn't change permanently one way or the other, like negative or positive, it still changes, and that needs to be discussed, because it can't be ignored and swept under the rug, because it will come back up and it'll probably be blown out of proportion. So since I was diagnosed so young at 24, and I was actually living with my parents at the time, I had just moved back in with them because I just had a really good job offer. I moved out of Las Vegas and moved to New Mexico. And it was actually a transition phase. They just bought a new house, they were moving out, and then James was going to move in with me, and when all of this was going on. So talk about normal stress is moving, and moving someone in with you, and relationships progressing, and now you have cancer on top of that. So in my family, it's very, I would say, tough love, but we're very close. We're just not the affectionate type. So when I got this diagnosis, obviously having the flood of emotions a little bit out of our comfort zone. So my relationship with my parents, I would say, I don't feel it's changed too much. I feel that my parents see me in a different light after they saw my strength through this, and my attitude and my outlook. And, I kept my sense of humor, and how I'm now focused on other people. In addition to myself, I'm focused on the educational piece of obviously these videos, right? Um, I think they just have a new outlook for me, but our relationship, I mean, if anything else, we got a little bit closer, but we were already pretty close as a family anyways. So, but that's not always the case. Unfortunately, a lot of people struggle with their relationships in all aspects of their life. Um, the most important one I would say is young children. So obviously, with me being diagnosed pregnant, my daughter wasn't at an age to where she would understand what cancer meant. She's 2.5 now, and she clearly still does not know, but she knows MD Anderson. Like, it's weird. So like this 2.5 year old, we stay at the same hotel. It's like her second home. She's completely comfortable there. She knows where to go, knows where everything is. In MD Anderson, she knows the room. She knows where we have to sign her in. So she knows that, we're doing these things, but she doesn't know what for or why. And for other people, they're diagnosed when their kids are 10, 13, 15, 18, and so on. And, it's a struggle. There was a gentleman, his son suffered pretty bad mentally, and they put him in therapy, thankfully, because it's cancer's a bad word. It's a scary word. People, hear cancer and it means death, and that's not always the case today. Now it's moving more towards living with cancer as a chronic illness and not a death sentence. And I really hope people start realizing that now, and as we go on and our medicine continues to develop, um, to kind of, you don't relax when you have cancer, but to lessen the impact of the word itself, because everyone's different. Um, but I'm personally struggling now with, well, when she's old enough, do I put her in therapy, like just as a preventive, I guess. I don't really know if preventive is the right word, but she's going to be like, wow, when I was growing up, all this happened. I was in my mom's stomach when she was getting chemo. My mom was this close to death, and it's going to be a lot for a kid to take on all at once. And granted, it'll be years that everything passed, but as a parent with cancer, no matter how old your child is, it's a huge decision. It's a huge burden. It's a huge life-changing event, I guess is the best way. Like, I cannot get words to describe the severity. I don't know if it's severity is the word, but it's just a huge, huge deal. And I couldn't imagine being diagnosed when my kid is 6 or 7 or 8 and they watch mommy or daddy, get sick and, be bedridden and all that. So on top of all of that, you also have a job or not a job. And then your social life. So clearly your social life is gone. And mine was gone. I had people come over to my house on my better feeling days and, talk to me and hang out, or maybe I would be up for getting lunch or something, but nothing beyond that. And there's people that are on treatment and they do great and they just carry on their life. So I was on a very, very toxic, all chemo's toxic, but I was not on your typical chemo treatment. And I think it had just exited a clinical trial or something. So my case isn't typical of most, but you are weak and fatigued for the most part. And so you're very cautious on those times because your white blood cells and your numbers drop because your body is weakened. So you limit, I should say, your social life. Work. Some people can work. They need to work because their insurance, and it's a freaking huge circle. It's, if you don't work, you lose your insurance, you can't get treatment. But if you're getting treatment, you can't work, but you can't lose your insurance. So it's just like a never-ending thing. And I got put on disability, thankfully. I mean, stage 4 diagnosis, they almost always quickly approve that. But I will be getting off of it in February. They had to do a review process and a trial period, I guess you could say. But I've been working full-time again since May, I think, and everything's going well. So I'm pretty excited about that next step, getting off of that. And then with work, most employees, some of them are understanding and supportive of you, but then others are just you're not going to help our company, then we don't need you, we'll replace you, because you are replaceable to all companies, unfortunately. You may be a really great employee, but they can also find another really great employee. So yeah, I think I made this video long enough. I don't typically want to make them too long because not everyone has all the time to sit there and just watch these, but I still want people to watch them and get something out of them. So next week, or next video, I will be talking about surgeries, the consultation part, pre-op, medications, what it's like after surgery, healing, and how it is, years or months or however, long after the surgery, the steps in that. And then, yeah, so I will be seeing everyone again next week.